Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, November 18, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, let me know what the dice be like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Taking a look at the US Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook that just came out today, November 18, from the forecaster Novella. We're looking at the time period from November 26 to December 2, as well as the time period from December 3 to December 9. And as you can see across the Atlantic, not really much of anything trying to develop, only some green patches here and there across the main development region, the Southern Caribbean, that we know represents what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's a 50% chance of above normal of rainfall, and we even see it bleeding into the far southwestern Caribbean during the December 3 to December 9 time period, but nothing trying to develop. We do see some things trying to develop across the Indian Ocean into the Western Pacific, and even the area right here to the north of Australia. And we see that on both maps. We know these red and white patterns represents a 20% chance of tropical cyclone formation probability. So it seems like it's not over yet at all for the Western Pacific, the Philippines, Vietnam. Very interesting times ahead as we wrap up the hurricane season and head into December. Taking a look at the US National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at 6:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually at 6:10 p.m. Jamaica time. Tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days, and this is the reason why not much of anything is trying to develop, even though we have some decent thunderstorms right here to the east of Bermuda, to the far north of the Lesser Antilles. It's nothing that is trying to organize at this time or acquire a name. If so, we would have seen something being highlighted from the Hurricane Center. You also see the numerous troughs right here, one right here to the east of the Caribbean, already affecting the Leeward Islands, and the clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone right here across the southern main development region, extending from northeastern South America all the way over into the western coast of Africa. I know that if something should try to develop, the next name on the list is Nestor. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see the blue spike lines associated with some frontal system. It's extending from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to the north of the Bahamas. We see the broken orange lines here and there associated with troughs, one right here to the north of Hispaniola, another one right here. I believe that's the one that has a lot of thunderstorms embedded within it. Another trough right here across the Leeward Islands, another one right here across Guyana into the waters near Trinidad and Tobago. Another trough right here across the northern main development region. Another trough right here just to the west of the tail end of another frontal system that extends up into the northern portion of North Atlantic. And we see another trough of low pressure right here just to the west of the Cayman Islands, still affecting Cuba as we speak. A lot of troughs, too many troughs to even keep up with. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic, we can make out all of these troughs. The trough affecting Cuba, the trough right here to the north of Hispaniola, the trough across the Leeward Islands, the trough across the waters to the east of Trinidad and Tobago, already affecting northeastern South America, the trough right here that has a lot of lightning and thunder to the north of the Lesser Antilles. Another trough is somewhere down in here, frontal system right over here, frontal system right over here, and the clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone across the southern main development region, extending from northeastern South America into Africa. And we can make out that most of these clouds are being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the usual ridge of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, November 17, not December yet, 2025. So if you remember yesterday's video, not much of anything in terms of rainfall was predicted for the entire island. We didn't see much of anything being forecasted by the Euro and the GFS supercomputer models, and as such, nothing really here on the maps. A post was made here on our Twitter page about the Jamaica, and keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page about the Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts for the day that you cannot afford to miss. So we can see on the visible satellite imagery that today, especially this afternoon, is one of the sunniest that we've ever seen Jamaica since Melissa. I mean, where are the clouds? If anything, maybe some clouds across northwestern, or that looks like west central St. Catherine, also maybe far northern St. Elizabeth, but nothing really significant, to bring some crazy rainfall. No thunderstorms at all. And we can look at the visible satellite images as to see how it all progressed. We saw the clouds pushing down, looks more like from an east, northeast, west, southwest kind of fashion. We saw the clouds even pushing into section of eastern Westmoreland. No rainfall today, definitely sunny, and some people are definitely complaining about the heat for sure. I don't blame them, especially those out west who don't even have roofs. And we can see on the infrared, no thunderstorms took place, no blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, no sparkling white dots either that represent some lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. Unfortunately, we don't have the Cuban Doppler radar imagery to show, but it wouldn't have shown anything considering that we got nothing today. But if we go back in time here on the Outages live camera, see Jamaica's YouTube channel showing 12:44 p.m. today, and we can see that it was partly cloudy for the most part. Nothing to do with bad weather as we push through the time. Look at that, 12:56 sunny. People walking about, going about their business. People in their vehicles going about their business. Skipping ahead, 1:56. Nothing taking place in terms of bad weather. Blue skies for the most part, as you can see here. And that should be the order of the evening and this was what took place today. So it makes sense that the satellite imagery was showing clear skies, and as such the live camera showing clear skies. Nothing to do with bad weather taking place. Some pigeons up here on the light wires, if not telephone wires, chilling. Definitely, clear, fair conditions for the most part in the Outages era. And if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams all for you all to view for free. So subscribe today to this channel so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map paints quite the picture for we had that rainfall today. Not really much of anything. That little speck right here across northwestern St. Elizabeth actually makes sense in a way, given these clouds right in here. So maybe just a brief isolated shower or two across the northwestern St. Elizabeth into eastern Hanover sections right there. Taking a look at some of the comments that came from some of our followers. We have Bad Barbs 93 sitting, we're roasting in the heat, no electricity, no water, my goodness, I feel your pain. We have that girl _DG stating true. I was just outside thinking the same regarding this post, which stated this is the sunniest and driest afternoon we have had since Melissa. And finally we have Giovanni Panton sitting Spanish Town sunny. Thank you all for confirming what the weather is like in your area for today. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather News website, the latest Jamaican Doppler radar image, the latest Cuban Doppler radar image, the latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar imagery, and the latest Cayman radar imagery. Want to see exactly what's taking place right now. So the latest still image from the Weather News website is showing 23:35 UTC, which is actually 6:35 p.m. So this just came out 8 minutes ago, considering that it is 6:43 p.m. right now. And as you can see, nothing across the island, no cloud cover whatsoever. Jamaican Doppler radar can't confirm it because it is still down, but the Cuban Doppler radar, looks like the Cuban Doppler radar can't confirm it either, because it looks like it glitched out at around 2:20 p.m. today. At that time, nothing across the island. Those colors that you see, definitely ground clutter, a glitch, but we saw where we had some moisture associated with that trough just to the northeast of the Little Cayman Islands right there. If we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, it is also confirming not much of anything across southeastern Cuba or northeastern Jamaica, but we do some blues into greens represent some light moderate rainfall across the western peninsula of Haiti. Regarding the Cayman radar, still broken down for the past 3 days. Hopefully they get it sorted out soon. was taking place here. The live camera from C Jamaica's YouTube channel, Maypen in Clarendon. We see a lot of vehicles parked up, a lot of people walking about, going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place at this time in Maypen. And that should be the order of the evening into the night. Fair conditions for the most part. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should have down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in the grays. That represents average temperatures are 0 on the map right here. The 0 are the normal temperatures. As you know, for November is around 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica. That's around 31.1 degrees Celsius. So that should be the temperature forecast for Jamaica on Wednesday. And we're seeing that JPS is definitely still hard at work. A lot of pictures being posted showing that they're definitely trying to get the island restored back on the grid. Hopefully everybody gets back on the grid soon. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. So if tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, ensure that you dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugary drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and what's in those reds. We see a lot of dry air off the east coast of the US, a lot of dry air across the Gulf, a lot of dry air across the Greater Antilles, and we see a lot of dry air across the northeastern main development region into the northern portion of the North Atlantic. You know that the dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain. But look at where we have the blues. Wherever we have the blues, that's where we have the gray clouds, and that's where we have a lot of moist air. Across the eastern Caribbean, we have that trough. Across the waters to the north of the eastern Caribbean, we have that other trough. The waters to the north of Hispaniola, where we have the other trough. The waters in and around the Cayman Islands, where we have that other trough. Another trough right in here. You notice wherever we have the blues into the grays, that's where we have a lot of moisture. Regarding the Saharan dust forecast for the next 3 days, so we're heading into November 19, November 20, and November 21. And as you can see, the Caribbean still in the clear, even although some slight Saharan dust is trying to push through, but nothing significant. We don't see the yellows into the oranges into the pinks, just some light shades of greens trying to push through. And you see, the more it pushes westward, the more it dissipates, and that's what we want, because you know that the Saharan dust can definitely cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger respiratory illnesses in some persons. So we're indeed grateful that this is the forecast for the next 3 days. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that majority of the Caribbean is shaded in the blues. That represents up to 1, maybe up to 1.5 meter wave heights, and that's because of the easterly, if not east northeasterly, if not northeasterly flow of winds, especially across the Greater Antilles, averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15, maybe even up to 20 knots. And if we take a look at Jamaica's wave forecast, let us see up to the north of Portland, 0.9 of a meter wave height expected. To the north of St. Anne, 0.8 of a meter wave height expected. The same thing to the north of Hanover. To the south of Westmoreland, 0.4 for meter wave height expected. To the south of Clarendon, 0.4 for meter wave height expected. While to the south of St. Thomas, 0.9 of a meter wave height expected. And that is because of the winds that are expected tomorrow. We see quite a definite northeasterly flow, and you know what that means? Some rainfall for the north coast, if not the northeastern section of the island. And we see the blues across the southern portion of the island. The blues represent where we have the air expected to pile up. That is where we could get some clouds, becoming, well, some low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds. Then when we get that daytime heating, we got the upper-level wind shear from the northwest. So if we actually get some thunderstorms to formulate, those cloud tops would be pushed up towards the southeast, definitely favoring more of the rainfall, if not the overcast skies across the southern parishes. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 11 a.m. and don't take my word for it, it could start earlier than the 11 a.m. but we see the moisture trailing from the windward passage all the way down into northeastern Jamaica, maybe a section of Portland, into eastern St. Thomas. The Euro trying to incorporate sections of St. Mary, we'll see. So northeastern Jamaica with some morning rainfall. Then during the afternoon, we're still seeing that moisture across northeastern parishes, Portland, St. Thomas, and maybe some of that could spill into sections of some central parishes. Maybe sections of Trelawney, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Anne, St. Catherine, sections of St. Mary, intersection of Kingston, St. Andrew. Even although the Euro is more adamant about the central Jamaica rainfall, the GFS is more so eastern Jamaica rainfall during around 3 p.m. We'll see how it actually plays out, and whatever happens, I will definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here that are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday are in agreement that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The Euro going up to at least 0.15 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS going up to at least 0.12 of an inch of rainfall in the Portland area. We'll see it actually plays out, on whatever happens, we just have to take it. We're in the month of November. And in Trelawney, we usually receive 119 millimeters of rainfall this month. While, that represents 4.7 inches of rainfall. And in Manchester, we usually receive around 90 millimeters of rainfall in November. That's about the same as 3.6 inches of rainfall. And if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of November, you can visit nomadseason.com, and that website will show you that information. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next 168 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so 12Z on Thursday is actually 7 a.m. We see some moisture across the northern portion of the island for Thursday morning on the Euro. Then on Thursday afternoon, we're seeing moisture across the northeast and the central to western parishes. Now we have agreement on the GFS. Thursday morning, northeastern parishes with that rainfall. Thursday afternoon, rainfall across the northeastern and maybe the southern end once again. What do we see on Friday morning? On Friday morning, rainfall still affecting the northern parishes. Friday afternoon, rainfall across the eastern, central, and western parishes. What do we see on the GFS? Friday morning, rainfall across the northern parishes. Friday afternoon, rainfall across the eastern, central, and western parishes. Looks like Friday is going to be the wettest day this week. What do we see on Saturday morning? Saturday morning, still some rainfall across the north coast. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across some eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Saturday morning, rainfall across the north coast again. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across some southern and western parishes. What do we see on Sunday morning? Sunday morning, not really seeing much of anything on the Euro. Then on Sunday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across some southern and western parishes. What does the GFS show? For Sunday morning, not much of anything. For Sunday afternoon, we're seeing some rainfall across some northern and western parishes. So we have some contrast. What do we see on Monday morning? Monday morning, not much of anything. Then Monday afternoon, not much of anything either. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Tuesday, November 25. And at that time, just some moisture to the north of us. Don't see anything over the next 7 days trying to develop, which explains why the Hurricane Center hasn't highlighted anything. What does the GFS show for Monday into Tuesday? Monday morning, rainfall across the north coast into the eastern end. Monday afternoon, rainfall across especially the northern, central, and western parishes. And then just like on the Euro, we're stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is also valid for Tuesday, November 25. Not seeing much of anything across Jamaica at that time either. But if we take a look at the total precipitation for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until November 25. And we clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be wherever we have the dark reds into the purples and the pinks that represents up to 2 to 5 inches of rainfall. So we're talking about right down in here across northern South America into Central America, so anywhere from eastern Nicaragua into Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, western Venezuela, southern Venezuela, section of Guyana into Suriname and Trinidad and Tobago. And we see that it's not only the Euro model that's showing this, but the GFS is showing something similar. So those areas could definitely get on some isolated flash flooding activity. But if we take a look at the rainfall totals for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from up until Tuesday, November 25. We see the blues into the greens into the yellows that represents anywhere from 10 millimeters of rainfall all the way up to 30 millimeters of rainfall right in here. maybe even up to the 49, like what we see out to sea on the Euro. GFS going up to the 68 millimeters of rainfall over the next 7 days up to the 25th of November. We'll see it actually plays out. And whatever happens, I will definitely be here to keep you posted with whatever occurs. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days, well, not the next 7 days, we're going to be looking at what's taking place across the rest of the basin. So as stated, one trough right here across Cuba, another trough right here to the north of Hispaniola, another trough across the Leeward Islands, a lot of moisture pushing through the Leeward Islands towards Puerto Rico, another trough right here affecting Guyana into Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada. It's a lot of troughing taking place here and there. Let us see what the Doppler radar imagery is showing down there near Puerto Rico. I'm sure they're getting in on the moisture from that trough in the Leeward Islands area. Look at the heap of moisture. All of these greens into the yellows into the oranges represent some light to moderate rainfall in and around Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, St. John's. The water is to the south of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Eastern Puerto Rico, the water is to the north of Puerto Rico, to the south of Puerto Rico. We see rainfall right here to the east of the Dominican Republic as well. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, look at the amount of moisture pushing through Barbados as we speak. Some light to moderate, even some heavy rainfall. We also see some moisture right here just to the east of Guadeloupe, Dominica. And we see some moisture pushing into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A lot of moisture right here just to the east of Grenada. A lot of moisture passing to the south of there. Some heavy rainfall in those yellows. And we've been getting in on some rainfall across Trinidad and Tobago for sure. And there's a lot more where that came from. Regarding the weather view of Doppler radar images, clearly the areas that are dominating regarding the rainfall is basically where we have the troughs across the Puerto Rico, the Leeward Islands into the Windward Islands for sure. And we see a little bit of rainfall here and there across Colombia and even sections of Guatemala too. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are in agreement that within the next 24 hours, wherever you see shaded in the green, yellows, oranges, and reds, those areas should be getting up to an inch of rainfall or less. So we're talking about sections of Cuba into the southern Bahamas, sections of the Turks and Caicos, northern Haiti into the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. We also see some rainfall into section of the US and British Virgin Islands, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, sections of the coastal or the border of Venezuela into Colombia, getting into some rainfall, so too Panama, eastern Nicaragua, section of northeastern Nicaragua into eastern Honduras, section of northwestern Honduras into southern and eastern Belize, so too central Guatemala into El Salvador and the Cayman Islands and Cuba, getting in some amount of rainfall within the next 24 hours. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with that forecast. So the chances are higher for it to actually take place since both models agree. Regarding what's happening here across the Eastern Pacific, not much of anything taking place. Tropical cyclone activity not expected during the next 7 days, and this is the reason why. Nothing trying to develop here across the Eastern to the Central Pacific. And we know that if something should try to develop, the next name on the list is Sonia. Regarding what's happening here on the Western Pacific side of things, nothing across the Western Pacific as you can see here, but look at this, the Southern Indian Ocean right in here. Is that the Southern West Pacific? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. That area to the north of Australia, is that the Southern Indian Ocean or is that the Southern West Pacific? What does this blue line represent? Either way, yesterday it was, well, the day before yesterday it was a code yellow, then yesterday it was a code red. Now we have a tropical cyclone across this part of the world. They call them tropical cyclones, not typhoons, not hurricanes. Tropical cyclone Fina is what this one is called. As of right now, you see that look to it, so it spins clockwise on this side of the world, as opposed to the counterclockwise spin that we're used to in another hemisphere. So this is the way in which it is spinning right now, towards the east and then the south. And if we take a look at the stats, according to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, it is packing 45 knot winds. Now that systems that pack anywhere from 34 to 64 knot winds are classified as tropical storms. So it's a tropical storm right now. It's expected to push eastward and then to the south and then make landfall into portion of northern Australia. And we see the intensity 55 knots, 65 knots, 65, 60, 50. If it's going to be getting up to 65 knots, that's category 1 hurricane status. The category 1 cyclone is what it is going to make a run at before it makes landfall into northern Australia. forge through. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted if that occurs. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.